Remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch him up. Good luck.
Who the fuck is
Larry Flowers?
I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltops.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another big episode with myself, Larry Flowers, my boy Colin Thompson, and this is the Fair But Firm podcast. Big week, lots of things to talk about. Actually, what a week! What a heartbreaker. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep lately. I've gotten a lot of shit from a lot of people, deservedly so. You know, I talk. I like to talk a lot of smack when it comes to the Birds. I'm very high on that team. They're my best boys. They're my baby. I love them. But holy shit that they lay an egg. And now the city of Philadelphia is on fire. It's on fire. Colin, it's on fire. I don't know what to do. My phone's blowing up. My parents are about to jump off the ledge. My friends are all about to jump off the ledge. Everyone's lined up on the Walt Whitman Bridge thinking about jumping. It's bad. It's bad.
You know what, Larry? There was many warning signs. Really was. And everybody's saying, yeah, of course, they lost, 6 out of 7 or whatever that was. No, the warning signs were way before that. If you go back and just Google Philadelphia Eagles Philadelphia Eagles schedule and look at it, you could argue there was only 2 games that they played their best football in. It's somewhat of a complete game. And it was the Bucs game early in the season and the Dolphins at home.
Totally.
Other than that, they're by far the better team in a lot of those situations. And those games are extremely close. Now, the NFL is built on being close. There's more parity now than ever. Go look at the quarterbacks that are in the playoffs. There's a lot of people that you would say they're not playoff quarterbacks, right? C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, right? Jordan Love. But they're all playing great, and that's what matters. That's what you're judged on. So my point to is, Larry, is they have been playing not so hot all season long, and then the train just got off the tracks. They got lucky with a couple wins. I think, yes, they won some close games. There's an art to doing that, and that's a skill. But they also vomited a couple games and got lucky and still won. Sometimes winning masks your failures. And if you don't have the leaders and the people in the room, which I thought they did, and I'm sure they do, then you know that that's a negative and those things are to come. So I think they've been iffy all year, Larry, and it's just now it's all magnified down the stretch.
It's funny because I listen to a lot of sports talk radio in Philadelphia, and during their stretch when they were 10-1, you'd have people calling in talking about how this team doesn't pass the eye test. They're winning games, but they're barely winning games. They're playing sloppy football. I was one of those people. If you want to be really honest about the Birds, when they were 10-1, there's no sane man alive that can look at that at the season at that time and say, man, this team is a dominant 10-1 team, because 10-1 tells you a team is dominant. But they didn't pass the eye test. Last year, when they were, at that point of the season after 11 games, there's not a man alive that would tell you this is not a dominant football team. So major issues. Let's dive in. Let me start here, please, because I've gone back and forth with quite a bunch of people in heavy debates. There's a lot of issues with the team. Obviously, defense is a major issue. Coaching, schemes. Did guys quit on? Let's talk about something. Jalen Hurts. Love him. Winner. Good player. Team guy. The kind of guy you want in a locker room. He checks all the boxes. But the boxes he doesn't check, and this was my initial concern when they first drafted him and they first, kind of started to get him involved as the future of the Eagles, put it behind the center, was arm strength. Every quarterback can throw a deep ball, and he can do the same thing. And I'm not saying he can't throw the football, but I'm talking about next level zip. Those kind of guys that can throw through very tight windows, those kind of guys that can throw through windows where they force you to throw through tight windows in tight games. His legs weren't the same this year. I get it. He hurt his knee. but he's not really that fast either. He's got kind of a long windup. You notice when he throws those wide receiver screens, they don't zip out. Like in order for those wide receiver screens to work, they got to zip right out, boom. And then you have to have those shifty wide receivers to be able to make a guy miss, which they don't have. And then the progressions, like, man, he doesn't seem to be progressing as a quarterback, as a throwing quarterback. I feel like this offense, they've kind of asked him to do a little bit more. And I'm very concerned that that's just not his game. I feel like he's an RPO type running back, read the linebackers, make decisions based off of that. And it worked last year, and they went to a completely different offense, forcing him to, play a completely different style. And I'm not sure he has that game. And I didn't really see him hot route any receivers. I didn't see him change any plays. There's very little motion. Now, is that more on the coaches? There's a lot of concern. I'll turn to you. You're an offensive guy, played in the NFL. You understand schemes. You understand quarterback play and calls. What's your take?
So it's a chicken or the egg, right? Is it the coaches, the players? I think players don't get enough flack if things don't go well because they got to execute the plan. But when the plan is malpractice, if you will, that's not on them. You got to be put in the best position to have success as a player, period. I don't care who you are. If the structure is not good, you can't overcome the bad structure. Like, it's a team sport. You're not playing tennis. So at the end of the day, like when you face the Bucks, Todd Bowles, a team I faced twice a year for 3 years while playing in Carolina. So I faced him 6 different times. I'm my only touchdown against him too, Larry. Only 1 catch, 1 TD, baby. Pretty
Beautiful
good number.
One, beautiful one, though.
Thank you. So at the end of the day, they bring pressure. They heat you up, and their liability on the back end. If a team brings pressure, right, something's going to, you can either, it's boom or bust. And the Eagles' plan and how they executed that plan was bad. Like, they didn't work the middle of the field against pressure. When you have pressure, you got to work the middle of the field or throw a quick little bubble screen to get it out there. They did very little of that. So, like, to me, like, is that on Jalen? And then when they did have the situation lined up, and Dan Orlovsky's really good, and there's more guys now out there than ever that are breaking down the X's and O's instead of being like, hey, run the ball, hey, throw the ball. No, like, here's the recipe. Here's why they're failing. So check that out on ESPN. Dan did a great job. Like,
Yeah, I saw that.
Impress man-to-man versus pressure, Jalen's got to throw it to the guy that's press man because they have a better chance running by him. But if there's a guy in off coverage, then you don't throw it to him unless he's running a little hitch route. So, like, personally, I think he graduated from the spread offense. I think you got to get him under center. Jordan Love is not the caliber quarterback that Jalen Hurts is by any means. No one would ever compare those two people. But Jordan Love looked way better against the Dallas Cowboys.
So you think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Jordan Love?
Well,
like if you're, let me ask you a question. If you're building a team right now, you're a GM, you get one of those two guys. There's the only 2 guys available. Who are you going with?
Everybody in the entire NFL will pick Jalen Hurts.
Wow. Really?
I'm telling you, dude. I don't think it's on him. I don't think it's on him.
Really?
I don't think it's on him.
Have you seen this kid throw the football? I mean, this kid's
listen.
He's been behind Rodgers for how many years?
Bro.
He zips the football. He could throw it off the back foot. He could throw it off a 60-yard dime off a back foot.
No way, dude. Listen, good for him. I'm glad he's playing well, and hopefully he plays great. But they're going to get exposed against the Niners. I love the kid. I'm happy for him. He's overcome a lot of adversity in the sense that he's got to come behind Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I get all that. That's a lot of pressure. But at the end of the day, like, how many good games he played in the NFL?
I would say, I mean, yeah, no, I get it. I would also say on paper, Green Bay is. Listen, I actually looked at their schedule. Green Bay, they were in every single game. They came out of the gate a little slow, lost a few games, but look how they ended. They beat some really good football teams. They don't have huge names. They were missing their key running back Jones in the backfield most of the season.
You bring up a good point, Larry. You bring up a good point. Here's the thing with Jalen. The guy still made some unbelievable throws and still had some really good things this year cooking. He was up for the MVP at one point of the year, all the way through until they lost to the Jets. So I'm just saying, before we annoy Jordan Love, let's not forget how good Jalen Hurts is. And I personally think they graduated from the spread offense. They need to get under center. Jordan Love is an under center quarterback, play action pass, and those guys run wide open. Look at the Niners. The Vikings had success with their third, fourth string quarterback running that offense. The spread offense in the league, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you're Mahomes, what you brought up, the Cincinnati tight window throws, you can run that. But eventually, teams scheme it. They know it's too predictable, i.e. CMAC guessing plays on national TV. It's got to go. So I think he's got to be under center next year, and they're going to probably bring in an OC that's going to do that.
You know who else was an MVP candidate early in the season, early in his career, until defensive coordinators who are very smart got a hold of him, figured him out. Some guy named Carson Wentz.
No,
I'm not comparing him to Carson. I'm not comparing him to Carson Wentz. I'm just saying
Carson got hurt. That killed him.
He did, but
dude, he got his knee literally demolished.
I know. I was at the game. But my point is, having your knee demolished or not has nothing to do with being able to read complex defenses and having defensive coordinators study you for a few years through maybe your early best years when defensive coordinators don't really know what kind of quarterback you are and what your pros and cons are and how to defeat you. My concern is, are defensive coordinators smart enough to have maybe figured out how to beat Jalen Hurts? I look at Jalen Hurts, and my issue is this. He's not the kind of quarterback that's going to win games just with his arm, come from behind through tight windows. He's a semi one-dimensional quarterback who's not really that fast. Again, I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. Who isn't? He's a leader. He's always been positive. He's gotten some great wins. He's a competitor, but is he the guy that you really want when you're coming from behind, where defensive coordinators are making you play to your weaknesses, which I think is the biggest cause for concern. And now I'm not saying he can't win in the NFL. I'm not saying he cannot win in the NFL. But I am saying that there's one thing and one thing only that you cannot teach at the quarterback position, and that's arm strength. And he does not have that zip. He just doesn't have it. Like when he throws the football, he doesn't look like those quarterbacks that you would look at and say, holy shit, that guy's got an arm. Look at
explodes off their hands. Yeah.
Explodes. And it's not even like it's the short wind up. It comes from the hip and it's a zing.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have that ball, and you can't teach that.
I'll say this too in closing on the Jalen stuff. It's the coach's job to know your weaknesses and how to avoid them. Totally. And I thought they didn't give him the opportunities to do that. That's what really bothered me this year when I watched the tape. And I know a lot of that staff. Sean Desai and I are very close friends. He's a really smart man. But at the end of the day, like, their job as a coordinator is to put their players in the best position for success. The GM's job is to pick them. The coach's job is to know the players' weaknesses and say, hey, listen, we're going to help you here, right? Like, I don't go in on third down, Larry, to run routes, first man-to-man coverage. Not my skill. But if we're on first down and I run a play action pass kind of over route, I'm wide open. Why? Because I've been blocking that play 10 times in a row, and they're ready for me to run and run block them, right? So, like, my point is, I don't think they put him in the best situations for success, like, period. We'll see what happens today. We're recording Wednesday, January 17th. Nick Sirianni's meeting with the head coach. Meeting with the owner and the GM. So this is how it all shook out with Doug Peterson. He's going to come to him and say, hey, listen, you got to fire all your coordinators and fire pretty much the whole staff other than Jeff Stoutland, the O-line coach, who's one of the best in the league. And if he says, no, I'm not doing it, then he'll be fired. That's how it goes in this league. It's
funny because everyone I've talked to, for the most part, Philadelphia Eagles fans, before the game, in sync, run the ball, run the football.
And they started with it, had success, and they got away with it.
They ran 2 times.
That's not
on
Jalen Hurts.
What, 4 runs in the first half?
Yep. That's not on Jalen Hurts, though. That's my point. Like,
no. Dude, I don't disagree. But Jalen Hurts, I as far as I can see, I didn't see him changing plays much. I'm not saying he needs to be paid.
Is he allowed to? Is he allowed to?
I mean, you tell me. It's the NFL. You're telling me a quarterback can't change a play?
No, you don't. It doesn't work like that.
I'm not saying on every play, but
they may never give him the option because may not trust him to do that. Who knows? I don't know.
Which would be an issue for me.
Or it's not built into their offense. There's always escape route, right? There's always something. So I don't know. I mean, listen, man, there's a lot to unpack with the team. It's chicken or the egg, and I think some things are going to come out this offseason. Eagles are it's a market that gets a lot of information out of the team. So we're going to find some stuff out and see what happened. It's been a rocky road all year, and then there was more drama inside the stadium, the building, all that stuff inside the facility, which is never good. We have a bunch of hockey fans in here. listening to the show, they know when drama gets outside of a locker room, a changing room, a dressing room, there's problems. On to the next thing. Jason Kelce kind of retired, didn't retire. Wants to announce it. He talked about it today on his show that he's going to, if he does do it in a professional manner. So it's not official yet. Things are getting leaked and talked about. But your overall thoughts on Jason Kelce, a Philadelphia Eagles legend?
Oh, man. Jason Kelce, 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion. I've got a list here of accomplishments from 2013 to 22 of broken records by the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's all kinds of wild records where he's under center. There's only one position in football on the offensive side of the ball that touches the ball every single time, guaranteed. It's not the quarterback, it's the center. So a lot of responsibility there. Picks up blitz, change. I mean, it's such an important dynamic position. He is the quintessential all-time Philadelphia athlete. He represents and embodies who Philadelphia is. He speaks for us Philadelphians. He's a guy's guy. He loves the city. He's part of the community. You know, I saw a little picture this morning. He stopped by his McDonald's to give a signed jersey to his favorite employee. That he goes to his local McDonald's and went out of his way just to go through the drive-through and give his favorite employee a nice signed jersey. He's that kind of guy. But more importantly, top three. I'd say top three greatest Eagles of all time. Top three. I took a peek at the list. I think it's fair to say Reggie White's number one. After Reggie White, it's pretty close. I mean, you can make an argument for a bunch of different Brian Dawkins, Eric Allen, obviously Donovan McNabb, Harold Carmichael, Brian Westbrook, Randall Cunningham, Chuck Bednarik, who a lot of people have as number one. But, I kind of look at this list here. I don't know how he's not top three. I think it's a lock. I mean, he's played in the NFL how many years now? 13 years? Dominant. He could play next year, be dominant. He could play the year after that and be dominant. He could play the year after that and be dominant. He's the kind of guy that he'll be dominant as long as he wants to play. He'll stop playing whenever his body's like, hey, we need to shut it down, or I think it's time for the next phase of our lives, raise the family. But there are very few athletes in any sport that can go out as being the best at their position when they choose to retire. And Kelce's one of those guys. And that is one hell of a thing to hang your hat on. I mean, wow.
He's a legend. No two words about it. My gut tells me he's not retiring. My mind tells me he is. You could see the pain in his eyes, but you could tell he was getting emotional in his show because he wasn't talking about like the success. He was going to miss the locker room, the human beings. And as someone who's like myself, an NFL free agent, who knows if I ever will play again. And that's hard. But I miss the people. You miss the people. You go into this business, coaching and playing, operations, front office. It's because of the human interaction around it. It's the biggest euphoria and high in the world. Like, yeah, the playing part and all that stuff you love, of course, right? It's a grind. It's fun. It's rewarding. It's not rewarding. It's painful. But at the end of the day, that emotional juice that you get from being around people. And Larry, you've been around a lot of athletes. We have a lot of athletes that listen to this show. They all talk about the locker room. They don't talk about the workouts and maybe some of the games. They talk about maybe the good moments. So for Jason, my suggestion is play till the wheels fall off, bro.
Wow.
Play the wheels fall off. You know what? Going out on your own terms, that's overrated. Go out freaking swinging. That's what I say. Go out swinging.
I'd say my gut tells me he's done.
Yeah.
But I also think he's got the luxury to kind of see and wait at what the Eagles' decisions for the future, who they decide to bring in, what they decide to do. Does it fit his
bring back?
Yeah.
He's
Does
the
it,
only one of the old.
does it make him excited about wanting to come back? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But either way, Kelce, if you hang him up, one of the greatest Eagles of all time. What a player. What a player.
I think if you had to sit here and say, like, who's the most impactful Philadelphia sports player of all time, I think it's him. Relatable. People say Bryce Harper, right? He's in that. He's in that
Yeah,
argument.
listen, Bryce Harper is
But I don't.
unbelievable. He also is a quintessential Philadelphia athlete.
Yeah.
He embodies the Philadelphia athlete or fans as well. But Kelsey's kind of a different animal. I mean,
They're both unreal. But Kelce at the parade, Kelce goes to the Jersey Shore for a fundraiser and drinks 40 to 50 beers with fans in the summer, right before the season. We're not talking about like 10, 12 casuals. Like people are like telling me the tally of what he put down that day. He's probably chugged 20 beers with people. And then the other ones were I mean, this guy does the fundraiser. He does the charity. He also happens to be an all pro, not just like a pro bowler. He's like the best in his position. So we'll see that there's an old guard that's going to change over, Larry. There's going to be a lot of players that get moved on from.
I was just going to talk about that real quick to end on Kelce. The Mummers outfit on Super Bowl parade is the greatest professional athlete in the city of Philadelphia's moment off the field ever.
Yeah, he knows.
Greatest.
He's relatable, Larry. Yeah. He's aware of what's going on in that city. And like Mike Schmidt, everyone loves Mike Schmidt, great player. But like, how many people have stories about Mike Schmidt and like ripping it up? Like Chase Utley, when he said world effing champions, right? Like that's what people love in Philly. And like Kelce knows about that, right? Like Lupul, Uppy, Carter, Richards, they're like guys that like ripped it up on and off the ice. Like, why do you think they were loved in Philly? Hartnell, like they're legends because of that stuff. Like on the field stuff, yes, on the ice matters. Court, get it. But like if you could do both, you can relate to fans off the ice, off the field. That's the hardest part because you got to keep your job on the ice and then also connect off the field, which it's easy.
That's what makes playing in Philadelphia hard for a lot of athletes. Some are built for it, some are not. It's the relationship between professional sports in Philadelphia and the fans and the community are just a little bit tighter than in most other cities. It's a unique place to play, and if you don't have thick skin and and you don't perform and you get a little earful and you can't deal with that, then Philadelphia is not the right place for you. Last thing, real quick, I want to talk about Lane Johnson, Cox. Sounds like Graham's going to be coming back. I'm a little concerned Lane Johnson may hang him up as well. That would be absolutely devastating. He's gone through some serious injuries his career. He's the best right tackle, Hall of Famer, best right tackle the Eagles probably ever had. And obviously Cox, he left it all out on the field, loved the emotion, loved the hard work. I mean, he was out there playing with everything he had. Probably played his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle, but I'm very concerned that they lose Lane Johnson.
It's a great point. Lane is you made the argument he's more important than Jason Kelce because he plays that premium position of tackle. If Jason Kelce played like tackle or running back or receiver or tight end and was this popular, he would be even bigger than he is now. Another thing too about Jason is he plays center, so he kind of hides a little bit. So he doesn't have many bad plays, but when he does, people don't see it. Right? If the receiver drops a pass, it's like, what the hell is he doing? But when like Jason misses a block, which again is rare, people don't notice it publicly, maybe more privately. As we transition to hockey stuff.
Quick point. Last point. Jason Kelce, 6th round pick. Wow. Sixth rounder.
Yeah, he had a great
that good as a 6th rounder.
Great high school hockey career too. Really good. I think he had like 25 goals his senior year. Like I'm sure how high school hockey, how good could it be? But still, there's something about it. You can play, you could skate. I'm sure he could lose some weight and play probably defense for the Flyers and be out there smashing some skulls. As we transition to hockey here, Fair but Firm with Larry Flowers. Appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out. Check out all of Fair but Firm's social media and Larry's stuff. I think there's a good little synergy here, guy, to talk about the Kings a little bit before we go to the Flyers. What the Kings did or plan to do with their statues outside, they're going to eventually have all the main pieces of the LA Kings kind of dynasty that they had there with Brown and Quick and all the studs that they've had there. The Eagles could probably take a kind of a note out of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they go statue Kelce, Johnson, Graham, Cox. They're the 4 horsemen that have been there the whole time. And it would not surprise me if because all 4 of them deserve a statue. So Like 3 of them are first round picks, and Jason's the best center of all time. So like, what do you give all 4 of them a statue?
Yeah, it's interesting about the statues. There's not a ton of statues in Philly.
Not really at all.
There's really not. And I wonder I wonder why that is actually.
There hasn't been. I don't know.
LA's got tons of them, and obviously LA is LA, and I get it.
No
like
Super Bowls,
the old Staples Center,
no Super Bowls. And
yeah,
they never won Super Bowls before this era. So those 4 guys could get statues together. I would hit up the Kings and say, "What do you?" Because I think there's only a couple guys that have a statue right now. With the Kings, I like out of the 4, I think they're putting all 4 of them together or something like that.
For the Kings,
I think Brown has one, right?
Brownie's got one right now, yeah.
But I think it's going to be like they're all going to be next to each other. It's kind of like a group thing.
The next statue I think is going up at Staples or Crypto.com Arena. The Kobe one goes up, I think. I think it goes up this week, next week. Goes up pretty soon.
What's the wait on that? Why did it take so long for that one?
I don't know. But
what's going on with the Kings this year? You've been following them? I know you've been doing some stuff there. I love the social media posts. Larry's the official jeweler of the LA Kings, for those that don't know. What's going on with the Kings?
The Kings came out of the gate smoking hot. They're still a great team. They've been sliding a little bit. They've lost, I think they've lost 5 or 6 of their last 8. They've lost 1 and 5 and 4 in the last 10. Definitely sliding a little bit, but you know, that's the NHL. It's hard to just win every single week and not go on certain runs. They're coming into the All-Star break, probably a little tired. They were on the road, lost some games on the road. But the Kings are deep. They're strong up the middle. They've got great defensemen. The only question mark was goaltending, and their goalie's now in the All-Star game, which they did not expect. It's a great place to watch hockey. Crypto.com Arena gets buzzing. The hockey community in LA is pretty tight. They're a fun team to watch. They play the right way. Like I said, they're strong up and down the middle. They've got some dynamic weapons. And for people like Flyers fans who like that type of hockey, Kings play a very similar style. They break you down. They get it deep. They chase. They'll bang with you. They are a force to be reckoned with in the West, and we'll see. I mean, again, they're sliding a little bit, but I expect them to get right back on track coming out of the All-Star break.
Our Flyers, woo, doggy. I'll tell you what, I have never, ever seen a team just debunk everything said about them. Everything. And just when you think they're going to slide and they go on a little bit of slide, they beat Winnipeg. They beat St. Louis. They beat Minnesota. The Winnipeg game, they're missing, I don't know, I think it was Sean Couturier, Drysdale, and Carter Hart. And boop, win. And you're just like, I tweeted, I'm like, I think they're going to win 4-2. They won 2-0 against Winnipeg, best team in the league right now. Just because, like, that's the Flyers. If you think, and you're going to sit here and try to be like, this is what's going to happen, it's not going to happen. They are relentless. They play 4 lines deep.
You know what?
They're fun to watch.
You mentioned Carter Hart. Let me tell you something. In order to win in the NHL, you need 2 goalies. That's all there is to it. You need 2 goalies. Guys are going to get cold. You're going to need to bring guys in. You need to bring a backup in that can sustain and carry the load. And he's not only carried the load, there's a lot of people that think he's even better. I mean, I'm not one of those people, but they're close and they're both really good. The Flyers are extremely talented. I told a lot of people last year that this team is going to be good. They were missing a couple of key pieces, Atkinson, Couturier last year. I didn't say that they were going to make the playoffs and do any sort of that kind of damage, but I told you they were going to be good last year, and they were really fun to watch. They were very competitive, and I told a lot of people this year, this team is going to be significantly better.
January 17th,
always right.
70% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, they're making the playoffs. They're making the playoffs. They're making the playoffs.
They're about to be playoffs.
They are so hard. There's so many hockey people that I speak to on a daily basis. They are so hard to play against. They're in your face. They play a specific system. Torts is the way that he teaches his players, make the right plays. Make the right plays. Don't make your play. Make the right play. They're getting balanced scoring. Obviously, the
TK.
power play needs to be stepped up a little bit. It has gotten a little bit better. They're great on the penalty kill. They're leading the league in shorthanded goals. There's buzz in the arena at Wells Fargo. Again, I can only speak. I know what I see, but I can speak on the people who are professionals at watching hockey and the NHL. And what they all tell me is the Philadelphia Flyers are legit. They're a really, really good team. They're really hard to play against, and they're going to be a tough out every single night. There's not a team in the NHL that wants to play the Flyers, that go in playing the Flyers and go, okay, this should be an easy one. They're a tough out, and they are good.
You know what I'm excited about, Larry? I'm really excited about them re-signing these guys, maybe a couple guys to a little bit of a team-friendly deal, and them being Flyer lifers. Owen Tippett, one of them. Travis Konechny, another one. Like, you want to talk about who won that Panthers trade? And I love Claude Giroux. I'm the biggest defender of him. I think people consider him as a bona fide superstar, and he never was, but he was a star and an all-star, and that's who he is. He's a 1B guy.
Yeah,
but people want him to be something he wasn't, and that's what the expectations hurt. Like, he's had some 1A years, but really he's a 1B, and that's really freaking hard to do and super impressive.
In the Sidney Crosby era, I would say Claude Giroux was Crosby's number one rival.
He had more points than him and Ovechkin. Pretty sure over a certain period of time.
He has a semi, almost debatable, almost Hall of Fame career. He's not a Hall of Famer.
I think he's top 50 in points. Last night he became top 50 in points in NHL history. So whatever it is, but that's who he is, and people want him to be something he wasn't, and they take it away from him. I'm like, yo, guy was an NHL All-Star, a great player, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, and
still doing it.
He's still doing it. He's a beast for Ottawa. So my point is, Flyers won that trade, big time. Won that trade. They have a first-round pick. Owen Tippett's on fire. Travis Konechny, this freaking guy is playing like he has got a firecracker just shooting out of his ass. He's like a lightning bolt everywhere he goes, dude. He's tough. He's gritty. He's fast. He's fun to play with. Lawton's just all over the place. Couturier has been huge up the middle. Defensively, they have some size. They have some skating ability. Interesting what they're going to do with Ristolainen. I think it's probably time to move on from him. That's a tough deal. See if they can get rid of that in the offseason. But other than that, you got two goalies, and you got a team that's playing really well together in that system, and long-term, it's here to stay. And that's what's really exciting. Like, give us a direction in Philly. That's all I wanted. Like, if you're going to tank, if you're going to be here, if it's got to go up or down. It can't stay the same. And that's like the Philly thing. Let's keep drafting 17th and 18th and 20th overall. That's the kiss of death. So I'm excited for the Flyers, man. I'm excited for the Flyers playoffs. There's no better thing than freaking NHL hockey playoffs, man. You can't beat it.
Owen Tippett, I'm going to chirp Scotty Upshaw here for a second. Him and I went back and forth quite a bit on him. He didn't love him. He didn't think he would pan out to be a legit NHL player. He thought he'd be out of the league in a couple of years. Uppy's he's not usually wrong. He knows the game.
When he came in, though, like from the Flyers, he did look like he wasn't not ready to go yet.
Yeah, but the thing is, when he was down in Florida, he really wasn't getting to. He's the type of player that needs to play. He's the type of player that needs to be on the top two line. Yeah. That's the type of player he is. He can skate. He's powerful. He's got a monster shot. He can snap it from anywhere. He's 24 years old, 44 games played, 16 goals, 11 apples, 27 points. He's playing 15, almost 16 minutes a night.
Dude, he recorded as the fastest skater in the NHL.
I saw that. I don't put as much stock. I don't.
Whatever. I think, but listen, I don't put a ton of stock in analytics either.
But he can move.
But that checks a box to me like, oh, shit. Right in overtime, he was humming away from that guy. Like, it's one thing to be moving and everything up, but, like, it's all play speed, right? Like, analytics, trash it. But, like, the guy is starting to play fast.
Listen. This is what I told Uppy when we were debating about him, because he doesn't watch as much Flyers hockey as I do. He watches a lot of different games, which that's kind of his job. But I watched him last year, and there's parts of his game, and I'm going back to Jalen Hurts. You can't teach arm strength. You can't teach zip. You can't teach that kind of shot. Joffrey Lupul had that kind of shot. Loop could snap it in a way where guys all around NHLers on the ice would look at him and say, holy shit, like that kid can snap it. Like there's only, it's God-given. He kind of has that. And once you get enough time and once you get enough minutes under you and you start really getting your legs under you and getting proper time, proper amount of shifts, minutes per game, to be able to have those dynamic weapons in your arsenal, you're going to start to score a lot of goals. And I mean, he had that one play the other night when he just walked that D-man. I forget the D-man, but he walked him, went backhand, short side high. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a major league play. Owen Tippett, anybody out there that's a casual Flyers fan, that wants to watch a little bit more hockey, shout out Sean Handler. He's been watching a lot of hockey lately. He's been watching a lot of Flyers hockey lately. Makes me very, very happy. Him and his son, Jackson, which is really cool. But anybody out there watching Flyers hockey, follow number 74, Owen Tippett. Fine looking redhead boy, stocky, can skate, can shoot it. He's a fun player to watch.
I like the number too.
Very excited about the Flyers. This is an exciting time for the Flyers. This is what we've all been waiting for. We've been very patient. The Danny Briere, Keith Jones. I can't state it enough. This is exactly what the Flyers needed. And I'm very excited.
Shout out to Sean Handler, Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go. So I think the one thing too with the Flyers, as we move on, is like, what's next for them at this deadline, right? So like, they're going to stick with their plan here. They're not going to move any big pieces. But do you go out and you say, you know what? There's a couple players that are in some bad markets and some bad teams that may have 2-3 years left on their deal. And maybe you got to move a late first-round pick to get one of them. But they're a bona fide stud in this league, and you can move a late first-round pick and maybe a player on a 1-year deal or something like that, where you say, hey, listen, like, we just upgraded our team. We made a move at the deadline to help us win now and then help us later, like Drysdale. Right? That's a guy that can help you win now and then become a franchise top pairing demon. Like, so like, I don't know if it's like is there, Kachuk in Ottawa? Does he fit that? Like, do you go in that route? Like, who are the guys?
He would be so perfect in Philly.
Right. You give like you give like a first round pick away. You don't maybe not give your top pick. Like, you don't give the full farm up, but you're saying, okay, we're a little farther along than we thought. We have some capital. We have some cap space. We're going to move Ristolainen contract. We're going to bring this guy in. And again, I'm not saying go all in for a 1-year rental to try to win the cup. I'm saying find a guy that can get in the system, play with Torts, build for the future. And, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe we can win now with him too. That's the question for Danny B moving forward, because you can't say we're sticking to the same plan. The plan's changed. We're getting in the playoffs, and we got a chance to win the cup. You got to do everything to win the cup, and you got to put your team in space to do it.
Well, totally. I mean, I think when the trade happened, Drysdale came in. I think I was on record of saying I don't think they're really in rebuild mode anymore. They want to win. These guys are not out there saying, okay, like, we're going to be good in the future. That these players, this roster, this is a young, hungry team. They've got veterans on there. They're getting great goaltending. And I can guarantee you Torts doesn't give a shit about anything long-term and build. He wants to win.
Yeah.
And come playoff hockey, they are not going to be an easy out. They're going to be a really tough team to play against. My only concern is if they can get the power play really buzzing, and I think Drysdale will be a key part of that. If they can get the power play going, I mean, they're already good.
If you're winning like this without a power play, I'm cool with it.
They're already good.
That's what we thought about the Eagles too, in a way. You're like, well, they're 11-1. They're going to figure out eventually, and they never did. And it ended up causing them a really major issue. So I think if you're the Flyers front office, you got to look into that and be like, hey, there's some similarities to this situation here. Like, yes, we're winning and we're competitive, but our power play is not as good. Drysdale helps with that. He's been sick, probably traveling a lot of stress, a lot of different things going on. So he's sick. That's fine. Shut him down. I think Couturier missed some time too. That's fine. Shut him down. They keep winning without him. You got some guys knocking on the door with the Phantoms. So lots of discussing and more here. Again,
exciting time to be a Flyers fan. Get excited, folks. I know we need it. Eagles really shit the bed. Everyone's butthurt. Everyone's upset. Hearts are broken. Minds is broken. But we got the Flyers. Jump on the Flyers bandwagon. This is the perfect time to do it. Take your mind off the birds. Get on the Flyers bandwagon. They are so good. They're great. They're fun to watch.
The key thing for the Flyers is going to be right now from now until like March Madness. Again, I know they need to do it to keep pace and keep winning, but now there's more eyeballs on it. There's going to have a lot of eyeballs on the team now in Philly. Like all the Flyers lifers that have moved on, like my dad, right? Like a Sean Handler, like these guys that are like, I'm just cooked. I'm done with this. I need a break. And I get that. Not everyone has the stamina of you and I, Larry. So at the end of the day, exciting times. Larry, I want to move on to these NFL playoffs. You cool with that, brother? We'll go through some of these games here. I'll read them to you and you give your thoughts real quick.
Of course.
Texans, Ravens. What do you think?
Texans, Ravens. I don't know how you go against the Ravens. This stout kid's unbelievable in Houston. Wow. This is exactly the type of quarterback that I'm talking about. These young guys that can zip it. And I mean, they can zip it. He can move. He clearly can read defenses.
He's unreal.
He's pretty, again, you got to be a little careful with these young quarterbacks that come out of the gate playing so well because there's less tape on them. And I think it takes time for defensive coordinators to figure them out. However, this kid has the tools that you look at and you're like, this is what I want in my offense. This is what I want in my quarterback. I want a guy that can throw off his back foot, throw it 60 yards on a dime, touchdown. There's not a throw he can't make. I mean, he has been dynamic. However, I just don't know how you go against Baltimore. Let's be honest. They have been probably the best team in the NFL throughout the season. Maybe them in San Fran. What a Super Bowl that would be. I'm going Baltimore.
I agree with you. I think Baltimore and the Niners against this Packers team here, and I'll send it over about your thoughts on the Packers-Niners game. Like Texans and Packers, really good stories. Now the Texans are better than the Packers, I think, but Texans-Packers are really good stories, but they're now in the big leagues now. They're swimming in the deep end. Texans, beating Cleveland, we thought that was a big deal. Packers beating Dallas, thought that was a big deal, but this is the real deep end now. You're on the road, primetime games, and you got to face a rested Ravens team and a rested Niners team that are both, let's remember now, 2 weeks off. When you have teams like that, I don't believe in
football. It's like even one day, even to have one extra day off in the NFL against an opponent is enormous. To have a week off, an extra week, it's almost unfair.
You think the Niners clean up too? Jordan Love, that's your boy, bro.
I don't know how they don't. I'll tell you this. I don't know how they don't. Right? I don't know how they don't. Yeah. Niners should take care of business. However,
closest two games of the weekend will probably be Sunday, Pyre. You got Bucks Lions, 3:00 Eastern time, Sunday, January 21st. Bucks just whooped the Eagles. I think the Lions team, though, is super loaded. You can make the argument now that they're one of the best rosters in the NFL, and people never talk about it that way. They are loaded in all three levels of the defense. They play fast on defense. They hit. That's another thing with the Eagles defense, too. Where was that passion we've seen out of a lot of guys? So I don't want to get on them. We'll be there all day. Bucks look good. Baker Mayfield looks fantastic. Lions, though, home field advantage, the way they're playing, they beat a pretty good Rams team.
I have Lions all day Lions. I like the Lions all year. I've watched a lot of the Lions football. I got some buddies up from Detroit, so we kind of go back and forth. I like what they've been doing. They've really built a tremendous system in there. Their offense is great. There's no way the Lions lose this game. At home?
Yeah.
No.
It's rocking and rolling. Really impressive team. Bills, Chiefs, probably the pick 'em of the day, of the weekend, really. The Bills, the game got pushed back a day because of the snow. The Bills are on fire. Joe Brady, my OC, when we were in Carolina for half my time there, the guy who won, he was the OC at LSU when they won a national championship with Joe Burrow and Chase and all those guys, Jefferson. He's done great for Josh Allen, former quarterback coach there, and has done a great job. He's settled things down, ran the ball more. And then you see Josh Allen make less Superman plays. He still makes them, but he does them less, which is good for his health and good for the team because he doesn't need to be Superman every game. It's not the formula to win Buffalo. He doesn't need to throw it 40 times a game. I like Buffalo this game at home. Chiefs are unreal team, unreal organization. They're a dynasty, but I just think Buffalo cleans it up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you got to put a lot of stock in a team like Buffalo, who a lot of sports writers and fans alike picked to potentially win the Super Bowl this year. Obviously slipped out of the gate. You got to look how teams are playing right now, and they're playing excellent football right now. They're tough. They're a tough ball club. Josh Allen is playing excellent football in Buffalo, hostile environment. Chiefs are a good team too, but Chiefs kind of like the Eagles. Obviously they've had a better season than the Eagles, I'd say overall. but they don't pass the regular old school Chiefs eye test, at least the Super Bowl Chiefs teams, where you look at Buffalo right now and you're like, this team is, you don't want to play this team. You look at the Kansas City, you're like, this team could be beat. Buffalo, you don't want to play Buffalo.
100% great point. I think the one thing to watch too is this Chiefs defense. Could be the best defense that Mahomes has had, right? And that's the give and take. Like, you're not going to have the number one wide receiver, but you got a really good defense, and you hope Mahomes, who you pay a ton of money to, can carry the team. Kelce's been rocky this year. A couple drops, a couple fumbles. That's a part of playing this league. You're going to have up and down years. I don't think it's because of all the Taylor Swift crap. His personal life, I don't really care about. I'm happy for him that he's happy. I think it's overblown, but he's an all-pro, and he's a beast, and he's probably the best tight end of all time. So, listen, the Chiefs can win that game too, and we all sit here and say, you know what, we were wrong. Mahomes is the dude still. Why do we even not consider him being a dude? So
the Chiefs win this game, it wouldn't shy. I wouldn't lose sleep. I mean, I would be like, okay, well, yeah, Mahomes. All
right, lastly, little business update, Larry. What do you got going on in your world business-wise?
Well, always busy. Business has been great, thank God. Selling a lot of engagement rings, selling a lot of big boy watches. I'm still in Aspen. I'm able to work from here, meeting incredible people. Congratulations, Spencer Torkelson, Detroit Tigers, just got engaged this past weekend. Honored to have done his engagement ring. A great guy, easy to work with. Was over the moon when he got the finished product. That's always the case when my clients, because I work remote with most of my clients, so they don't actually get to walk, unless they're in LA and they want to come in the office. We have a beautiful showroom, but for the most part, guys don't get a chance to see things with their eye. They got to I got to send them videos, and they got to just kind of trust me that I know what I'm doing. And for a lot of guys, it gets a little bit, overwhelming, but there's no better feeling than when the finished product ends up on their doorstep and they get to open it and then they go through the whole process of proposing and sharing that moment with me. It's an incredible moment. It is the best part of my job. I'm really happy for him. Congratulations. I've had the privilege to work with so many incredible people, not just pro athletes and entertainers, but regular folks too. Everyone's a human being. Everyone's got their stories. And when they share those moments with me, it's almost like, yeah, I get it. I'm making the ring for you. But like to share that once in a lifetime moment with me is very, very special. I take a lot of pride in that. I take a lot of pride in making sure my clients get the best quality diamonds for their money, good, desirable diamonds at the right price. It's very important to me. It feels good. I sleep good at night. And again, Spencer Torkelson, congrats, buddy.
Congrats, man. Love it. Tigers. You make an argument that's the most passionate fan base in the world. First off, Tigers play outside, okay, in Detroit. The Lions, they've had some real rough years. The Red Wings, they've had some great years. The Pistons, they're a mess right now, but they've had some up and down years. So that's a tough four. They're kind of like the Philly of the Midwest, right?
They really are. They're like that's why I like Detroit. They're like the Philly of the Midwest. The East Coast, we got Boston, New York, Philly, and DC.
Shout out to Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean Baltimore too. Baltimore,
we got two teams.
Baltimore's like Indy, right?
Baltimore's like Philly. Really, from living in this area.
As far as the grit, as far as the culture,
it's the same people. We're not that far apart either.
Row homes are very similar. Totally.
Yeah, very similar. The water.
But as far as sports, like I look at Detroit as like the Philly of the Midwest.
And they have Michigan, like PA has Penn State.
Yes, but like let me tell you something. Michigan folks, some of my favorite people in the country. I said it for years when I was young and I used to go to Michigan. I would always think that I'm talking when I was young, 12, 13, 14 years old, like in high school, playing hockey in the Michigan area. I always noticed how nice Michigan people are. And now I've done so much business with so many guys on the Red Wings, which has gotten me so much business from local Michigan folks. And they're just such a pleasure to work with. They're just kind, they're warm. They got they're like city folks, but they got a Midwestern mentality. They don't have much ego. They're just great people. Michigan folks, I love you. You are some of my favorite people in the United States of America. That is a fact. LF fact. And yeah, listen, I'll speak on the Red Wings real quick. I love the way they play as well. I love the Red Wings. There's a lot of guys, a lot of buddies of mine on that squad, and it makes me real happy to see them, when they're playing well, because it makes a lot of my buddies that are from Michigan, makes a lot of them very, very happy. And they text me about it. We go back and forth quite a bit in sports. And so, yeah, Michigan.
Anything else, Larry, before we wrap things up? We covered a lot today, my friend.
We covered a lot. This was great. I'm still in Aspen. I've been here about a month. And
I'm not fucking leaving.
I can't. I don't really have much to complain about, do I? I'm very privileged. Ariel, Joffrey Lupul's girlfriend, Philly girl, one of my closest friends now. She's incredible. Her family has an amazing timeshare here at Dancing Bear in Aspen, Colorado, and it hasn't been used for about a month. And she insisted I stay. I've got this 3-bedroom mega suite by myself. Me and Rocky. Aspen, it's been amazing. It is absolutely dumping right now. It's just I've said it last episode. If anybody ever has the opportunity to come to Aspen and spend a little bit of time here, it's an incredible place. It's a tight-knit community. The restaurants are elite. There's 4 mountains to go skiing. I've had one hell of a new year so far. Unfortunately, I got to go back to LA tomorrow. Myself, Shane O'Brien, Scotty Upshaw, going to the Kings game, going to see our boy Fat Daddy, Ryan O'Reilly, and Nashville Predators Thursday night at Crypto.com Arena. But it'll be nice to get back to California, some warm weather, kind of get back in the groove, get in the office full time. One last question before we end. What's your New Year's resolution? We never really got that. You don't have one? I got one.
I don't do that stuff, buddy. I got enough going on. I'm constantly trying to improve. I'm constant everything. You name it. Everything in my life. Take more time off, work harder, be more organized, be less organized. Yeah. It's all contradictory. So I have a lot of flaws. So I have to have a resolution and just see if I can at least come close to it. My New Year's resolution last year was to quit biting my nails. I bit my nails since before I can even remember. Me too.
I conquered it. It's up. The trick is to always get them cleaned up once a week, once every 10 days. Go to the nail salon, sit there.
I got a pedicure last week, dude. I love it.
Yeah. This year, it's just take a little extra better care of my body. Not that I'm in bad shape, because I'm in good shape, but just take a little extra better good care of the old body. Turning 45 in 2 weeks.
Sleep thing's big, dude. Like,
I'm a big sleeper, so I have no excuse because I sleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. My problem is I'm getting up at 6:30 or 7 no matter what. So the more I push the later night, I'm done. I'm toast the next day. I'm a napper though. I love a nice nap. Love a nap.
Are you? It's funny you say that. I took a nap the other day. I'm not a big napper, but whenever I take a nap, it's game changer. Game changer. I don't know why I don't. I'm always. I've got my ADHD going. I'm always on high alert. It's hard. It's hard for me to take a nap, but in the times I have taken naps, you really notice it.
You can work later at night. I'll work later.
Yeah,
I'll work later.
All right, listen, everyone. Thanks for listening, Colin. You're the best. Great episode, and we look forward to having you back on the next episode here. Faber Firm, Larry Flowers, Colin Thompson. We're out.